All right, hello and welcome to another edition of Jayhawk Sports Report. I'm Josh Kurlak alongside my co-host Nick Price. Thanks for tuning in.
It was a great week for sports here in America's Heartland, and it continues to get better tonight as Allen Fieldhouse will once again be rocking. Yes, Jayhawk fans, it's that time of year. KU Hoops is back. Well, sort of. The men's season kicks off tonight as the Jayhawks take on the Ichabods of Washburn in Allen Fieldhouse for an exhibition game. First tip for that one is scheduled for 7 o'clock. This will be the first chance that KU fans will get to see all the young talent on this team play, such as Cliff Alexander, Kelly Oubre, Devontae Graham, and others that will be taking the court for the first time in Allen Fieldhouse. It'll be interesting to see how these young guys mesh with the talent that's already in place. And whatever happens, it'll surely be a fun night as Lawrence's favorite pastime is back once again. Yeah, one more time, the tip for that game is going to be at 7 o'clock. And if you can't make it out to the Fieldhouse tonight, you can watch tonight's game online at ESPN3.com.
All right, just a few days before the start of the 2014 basketball season, Kansas announced that guard Connor Frankamp will transfer from KU. He averaged just 2.5 points per game in 8.3 minutes last season. The Wichita native will remain at Kansas until the end of the fall semester. He'll have to sit out one full academic year before playing for another school. The Kansas City Star's Rustin Dodd reported that Colorado, Creighton, Illinois, and Northwestern have all shown interest in the former KU guard. Frankamp had this to say about Kansas. The Kansas fans are amazing, probably the best in the country. I want to wish my teammates good luck. They are like family to me, and I want to see them succeed.
Moving to the gridiron now, the Jayhawks were hoping to take a step forward after the bye week and make some improvements on what has been a pretty disappointing season thus far, but the Baylor Bears were having none of that. This team has seen some improvement under interim coach Clint Bowen, but is still looking for their first win with him at the helm. We're going to jump to the first quarter now where Bryce Petty is going to fire this one in, where Corey Coleman splits the defenders, busted up the sideline, 72-yard touchdown. Baylor leads 7-0. Later in the first, Cummings is going to chuck this one up to Nick Harwell, hits him in stride for the 28-yard touchdown. Kansas hanging in it, down just 13-7. The Baylor would continue to roll over the KU defense, however, as Devin Chafin pounds this 1-yard touchdown up the middle, his second of the day. Jayhawks down 39-7 at halftime. Baylor's rushing attack was working, but KU's was not, as the Jayhawks didn't record a single rushing yard in the first half. And the second half was more of the same as the Baylor Bears blow out the Jayhawks to a final score of 60-14. Baylor's Bryce Petty threw for 277 yards and 3 touchdowns. This was the 20th straight game for Petty in which he threw at least 1 touchdown.
Moving from the gridiron to the basketball court, Allen Fieldhouse opened its doors to another season of basketball on Sunday. It was the Kansas women's turn to take the floor, this time against Fort Hays State. As we go to the highlights, Jayhawks coming out of the tunnel, finally getting a chance to start their new campaign this season. First half, we go to the highlights here as nice ball movement from Kansas around the perimeter. They find Lauren Aldridge in the corner, the freshman with the 3, nice shot by her, fans loving it. Later in the first half, Fort Hays State would stick around as a 3-pointer goes down here for Jill Faxon. The Jayhawk lead is cut to 13-9, but Kansas would just be too much to handle, and so was Chelsea Gardner. She puts in 2 here. Jayhawks are up 32-21. They finish the half on a 17-1 run, and in the second half, more of the same as Terrielle Bradley drains a 3 here. Kansas leads 54-30. They go on to win by a final score of 73-52. Chelsea Gardner led all scores with 23 points. Kansas now done with one of its 2 exhibition games. And when we come back, the Kansas women's soccer team didn't have a very pleasant visit to Oklahoma this weekend. What's wrong with the Jayhawks?
And both cross-country teams were in action Saturday at the Big 12 Championships held at Lawrence's Rimrock Farm. But the competition and weather conditions proved to be too much for the Hawks. All that and more when we return. Stay with us.
Hey, check it out. Huh. What happened to that guy?
Hey, get that sign back up! You're not alone. Together we stand. I'll be by your side. You know I'll take your hand. When it gets cold and it feels like the end, there's no place to go. You know I won't give in. No, I won't give in.
Both the women's and men's cross-country teams were in action on Saturday, competing in the Big 12 Championships held at Rimrock Farm here in Lawrence. On a frigid and windy Saturday morning at Rimrock Farm, the Jayhawks were trying to keep pace with some of the top-ranked teams in the country. In the women's race, the Cyclones of Iowa State came out of the gates quickly and just dominated the pack, taking the team title with a score of 29 points. And Kansas didn't fare very well as they finished in 8th place with a score of 201 points. And the men fared slightly better, but still struggled in the brutally cold conditions as they scraped together a 5th place finish out of the 9 teams that competed. Oklahoma State ended up taking a top spot, capturing their 7th consecutive Big 12 title. There was one bright spot for the Jayhawks, however, as junior Jacob Morgan finished in 5th place overall, posting a team low time of 24 minutes and 16 seconds. Both Jayhawk squads will now turn their attention to the NCAA Midwest Regional Championships will be held on Friday, November 14th in Peoria, Illinois.
All right, the Kansas soccer team was coming off of a win against Iowa State before heading into the regular season finale against Oklahoma, but Kansas seems to still be in a funk. To the highlights, on the final day of the regular season, the Jayhawks tried to spoil senior night at Oklahoma, but they came up short. First half here, ball bouncing across the top of the 18. Liana Salazar, big strike there, but it goes well over the crossbar. Then, later in the first half, miscommunication here between some Kansas defenders. Kaylee Smith commits a foul inside the penalty box, and Oklahoma would convert on it, a penalty kick from Rasha Roberts. OU up 1-0. Later in the second half, last gasp effort from Haley Yearout, not good enough. Oklahoma goes on to win by a final score of 1-0. The Jayhawks have now lost 3 of their last 4 games. Kansas will need to get things figured out before the Big 12 tournament starts on Wednesday in Kansas City. But it wasn't all bad for the Jayhawks this weekend, however, as 5 ladies received all Big 12 honors in the soccer realm. Junior Liana Salazar was a unanimous selection to the All Big 12 team and claimed the honor for the 2nd straight year. Her 11 goals led the Jayhawks this season. She was also joined by fellow senior Ashley Williams, who earned the honor for her 7 goals this season. And the final Jayhawk on the All Big 12 team was senior Caroline Van Slambrook, who started 18 of 19 games for Kansas this year. The awards didn't stop there, as Jamie Fletcher was awarded All Big 12 second team for her 2nd time in her career, despite missing the first 7 games of this year. And last but not least, Kayla Morrison was named to the Big 12 All Newcomer team after helping the Jayhawks defense force 8 shutouts this season, that being the most by a Kansas team since 2006.
All right, Josh, let's give you a breather. After taking the first matchup 3-0 back on October 18th, the Lady Jayhawks volleyball team hoped to continue their win streak against TCU as they went down to Fort Worth on Saturday. After winning the first 2 sets, the Jayhawks dropped the final 3 and would go on to lose the match 2-3. The loss drops Kansas' record to 16-7 overall and a below 500 4-5 in the Big 12 play. TCU improves to 14-10 overall and inches closer to a 500 record at 4-6 in the conference.
All right, stay with us here. For the week ahead, we've got on Wednesday, head coach Ray Bouchard will try to guide his volleyball team to a big conference road win when the Jayhawks host Baylor. That match is set to start at 6:30 p.m. Fans can watch on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
And the soccer team will take their talents downtown to Kansas City this weekend for the Big 12 tournament. Kansas will play Oklahoma on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And if they win, they will continue on to the semifinals on Friday night and maybe the finals on Sunday night.
And the men's golf team will get out of this chilly weather and head west to Hawaii. They'll compete in the Ka'anapili Collegiate Classic. The tournament starts on Friday and will conclude on Sunday.
The football team will look to bounce back as they return home this weekend to take on the Cyclones of Iowa State. Kickoff for that game is set for Saturday at 2:30 and can be seen on Fox Sports Net.
Also on Saturday, freshman Anise Havili and the volleyball team will try to sweep the season series against Texas Tech. That game is set to begin at 3 p.m. on ESPN3.
The Jayhawks will return to the pool this Saturday in Lawrence as the swim and dive team takes on Illinois. Festivities for that one will begin at 1 o'clock.
And finally, Chelsea Gardner and the basketball team. Chelsea Gardner, yeah. And the women's basketball team will welcome Washburn to Allen Fieldhouse for the second and final exhibition game before the regular season starts. Tip-off is set for 2 p.m. and fans can watch on Jayhawk Television Network. All right, well, a couple of final notes. The women's swim and dive team swept the competition this weekend, defeating TCU and North Dakota on Saturday.
And the women's rowing team finished its fall schedule this weekend in Tennessee. Jayhawks were paced by Maddie Ireland and Maggie Duncan, who placed 5th in the 2 race.
A couple of sports there, a lot of water involved. Nick, how are your swimming skills?
Well, you know, back in the day, back in the swimming lesson days, in my previous years, they used to compare me to Michael Phelps. Slowed down a little bit since then, but you know, I can still get around in the pool.
I can float and swim. I'm not very good at staying in my own lane. Well, Jayhawk fans, that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for watching, and if you're not already doing so, be sure to follow Nick Price and myself on Twitter for all the latest news and updates on Kansas athletics.
As always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week, same time, same place, for another edition of the Jayhawk Sports Report. Good night, Lawrence.